Hello and welcome. This is Notibot ENG. In a rapidly evolving situation, the world is holding its breath as tensions between the US and Iran escalate. We'll be covering the latest developments in the Iran crisis, from economic shockwaves to diplomatic talks with Saudi Arabia. We'll examine the potential scenarios if Trump leaves Iran without reopening the Strait of Hormuz, and how the world is responding to the energy crisis sparked by the conflict. Stay with us as we break down the latest news and analysis on the Iran crisis and its global implications. As the world watches with bated breath, the potential exit of Donald Trump from Iran raises questions about the future of global oil supplies. The situation in the Middle East has escalated further with President Donald Trump's recent comments on ending the war in Iran without reopening the Strait of Hormuz. In his address to the nation, Trump claimed that the U.S. had decimated Iran and would strike the Islamic Republic extremely hard for the next 2 to 3 weeks. He stated that almost all of the American military's objectives in Iran had been met, but did not provide any concrete evidence to support his claims. The Strait of Hormuz has become a central anxiety for Washington's allies since Tehran forced its effective closure with strikes on commercial shipping. The waterway, which facilitates the transit of around a fifth of the world's oil and gas, has been closed for over a month, leading to a significant increase in oil prices. This has had a ripple effect on consumers and businesses worldwide, causing concern among global leaders. The U.S. and Israel have intensified their strikes on Iran in an effort to bring the regime to the negotiating table, but so far, no progress has been made. The U.S. military's presence in the region has been a point of contention, with many questioning the effectiveness of the strategy. The situation is further complicated by the involvement of other regional players, including Saudi Arabia and Russia, which have their own interests in the conflict. The implications of Trump's comments are far-reaching, and the international community is watching with bated breath to see how the situation unfolds. The U.S.'s decision to abandon the Strait of Hormuz could have significant economic and strategic implications for the region and the world at large. As the global response to the Iran-US conflict escalates, people are finding creative ways to cope with the growing energy crisis at home and abroad. The Iran war oil crisis has prompted a global response to the emergency measures being taken to protect the world's fuel supplies. The blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, a crucial shipping route for oil and seaborne gas, has led to a significant reduction in fossil fuel supplies. This has resulted in soaring fuel prices, with many countries struggling to maintain economic stability. The United States, along with Israel, bombed Iran in late February, which has further exacerbated the situation. The U.S. has threatened to target Iranian oil infrastructure, which may prolong the war and raise fuel prices even further. Donald Trump recently lashed out at allies who have not joined the campaign, telling them to go get your own oil from the Gulf. The International Energy Agency, IEA, has called for actions such as flying less and driving slower to reduce demand. However, the U.S. has continued its drill, baby, drill policy, expanding fossil fuel production while blocking renewable projects. The Trump administration recently announced a $1 billion subsidy to Total Energies to kill plans for a wind farm off the U.S. East Coast and instead direct investments into oil and gas. The U.K. has taken a more cautious approach, encouraging people to stay calm and avoiding calls to curb demand. The Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, is considering plans to put extra cash into a council-run fund to help vulnerable people during the financial crisis. As the situation continues to unfold, it remains to be seen how governments and individuals will respond to the emergency measures being taken to protect the world's fuel supplies. The impact on the global economy and people's lives will be significant. As tensions between the U.S. and Iran escalate, a shocking plot is unfolding in the Middle East that could have far-reaching consequences for Donald Trump. In a move that is being described as a trap by many, Iranian leader Ebrahim Raisi is seeking to pressure the United States in a changing course in the Middle East. The Iranian military, severely damaged and depleted after years of conflict, has been able to hold the world economy hostage. This is a significant development, as it highlights the enduring power of Iran in the region. The current conflict in the Middle East is a complex one, with multiple parties involved. The United States, under the leadership of President Joe Biden, has been working to negotiate a ceasefire with Iran and its allies. However, Iran's hardline leadership, including Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, is opposed to any concessions. They see the conflict as a necessary evil, and believe that the West is trying to undermine their government. Ali Vaiz, director of the Iran project at the International Crisis Group, believes that the current leadership in Iran is playing a very long game when it comes to the conflict. According to Vaiz, the Iranian leadership is seeking to create a situation where the West is forced to choose between escalating the conflict and supporting the Iranian government, or changing course and abandoning its allies in the region. Vaiz believes that this is a trap for the United States, and that it will ultimately lead to a prolonged and bloody conflict. As the costs continue to mount for Iran, it remains to be seen how long the current leadership can continue down this path. According to a report, U.S. President Donald Trump has engaged in ceasefire talks with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman regarding the ongoing tensions with Iran. U.S. President Donald Trump spoke with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman on a possible ceasefire in the ongoing U.S.-Israeli war against Iran. According to Axios, a report citing two sources with knowledge of the call, Trump briefed the Crown Prince on talks over a possible ceasefire in the conflict. This comes as the U.S. has sent Iran a proposal to end the war, reportedly including steps on Tehran's nuclear and ballistic missile programs, as well as maritime security in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has denied holding direct talks with the U.S., insisting that contacts have been limited to messages passed through intermediaries. The country's new president has also rejected Washington's proposals as excessive and unrealistic. The conflict has resulted in the deaths of over 1,340 people, according to Iranian authorities, with both sides engaging in airstrikes and drone strikes. The U.S. and Israel have been carrying out attacks on Iran since February 28, while Iran has retaliated with strikes targeting Israel, Jordan, Iraq, and Gulf countries hosting U.S. military assets. The situation has significant implications for global oil supplies and shipping. The Strait of Hormuz, a critical global oil choke point, has seen a surge in energy prices and affected shipping. A significant portion of global oil shipments pass through the strait, making it a critical point of vulnerability. The conflict has also had a major impact on regional stability and security, with at least 13 U.S. service members killed since the war began. The U.S., Israel, and Saudi Arabia are locked in a complex web of alliances and rivalries, with the conflict having far-reaching consequences for the region and the world. As tensions escalate in the Middle East, a surprise claim from the U.S. president has sent shockwaves across the region, leaving many questions unanswered. We're coming to you live from the Middle East, where tensions between Iran and the U.S. have escalated in recent days. The situation is dire, with both sides trading blows in a conflict that's been brewing for months. According to reports, U.S. President Donald Trump has claimed that the goals of the U.S. military campaign in Iran are nearing completion. However, it seems the situation on the ground is far from resolved. Iranian forces have continued to retaliate against U.S. and Israeli targets, resulting in a significant increase in casualties and damage. One of the most recent incidents occurred in the early hours of the morning when Israeli forces launched airstrikes on Iranian military targets in eastern Syria. The strikes resulted in the deaths of at least 15 Iranian fighters and several civilians. The Iranian military has vowed to retaliate against the Israeli attacks, which has raised concerns about a wider conflict. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has warned of potential consequences for Iran if it continues to resist the U.S. military presence in the region. Pompeo's comments come as the U.S. has been accused of violating international law by attacking Iranian oil facilities and shipping vessels. The conflict in Iran is a complex one, with multiple actors involved and competing interests at play. As the situation continues to unfold, one thing is clear: the region is on the brink of a major crisis. With the U.S. and Israel committed to a military campaign against Iranian forces, the international community is watching with bated breath to see how this situation plays out. As tensions escalate with the Middle East, a new warning from Iran's military has raised concerns about the potential for even more devastating attacks. Iran's military spokesperson, Ebrahim Zalfakari, has warned of more destructive attacks in response to recent comments from U.S. President Donald Trump. Zalfakari's statement, made on Thursday, comes in response to Trump's assertion that the war in Iran has left the country decimated. Zalfakari disputed this claim, saying that U.S. and Israeli assessments of Iran's military capabilities are incomplete. The tension between Iran and the U.S. has escalated in recent months, with the U.S. imposing crippling sanctions on Iran and increasing its military presence in the region. Iran has responded with missile strikes targeting U.S. military personnel and facilities, as well as other attacks on its adversaries. The conflict has also drawn in Israel, which has been accused of being involved in the sanctions and the military buildup. Zulfikar's warning of more crushing, broader, and more destructive attacks suggests that Iran is preparing for a significant escalation of the conflict. This could have serious implications for regional stability and global security. The U.S. and its allies have long been concerned about Iran's nuclear ambitions and its support for militant groups in the region. Iran's military actions have raised concerns about the potential for a wider conflict. The situation remains volatile, with both sides dug in and showing no signs of backing down. As tensions continue to escalate, the international community is watching with bated breath to see how the situation unfolds. That's all for today's recap. Thank you for watching. If you want to stay informed on the latest developments, be sure to subscribe to our channel. We'll continue to bring you the latest news and analysis from the world's top journalists. Join us tomorrow for more in-depth coverage of the news that matters. Until then, good night, and we'll see you in the next video.